Funeral Blues by W.H. Auden. It's pretty appropriate. Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone, prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone. Silence the pianos, and with muffled drum, bring out the coffin, let the mourners come. Let airplanes circle, moaning overhead, scribbling in the sky the message, she is dead. Put crepe bows around the white necks of public doves. Let the traffic policemen wear black cotton gloves. She was my north, my south, my east and west, my working week and my Sunday rest, my noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever, and I was wrong. The stars are not wanted now, put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood, for nothing now will come of any good. Well, thank you. So, I'll start it off here by telling you the story of, well, it was actually my mother's last words to me, and they're pretty fitting, right? They're very, very Leslie. So she was sitting in the hospital, and got a chance to talk to her, and I told her that her sister Karen was coming down, and that I was going to go home while she was doing tests and get the house ready for her. And she said, make sure you clean the dishes in the sink. So I said, okay, Mom, okay, I love you. I'll be here when the tests are done. But no, so, Aunt Karen,
yeah.
would you like to kick it off?
Did you do them?
I did do the dishes.
House
It was spotless.
Yeah, the house was spotless when I got there. It was perfect. So she would have been proud, because by the time I got down from up north, my 4-hour drive, she was already kind of comatose and on a ventilator, so I didn't get to, I think she knew I was there, but did she, I don't know. But my stories about Leslie go back to our childhood, and Leslie and I, if you know our relationship, we're either the best of friends or the worst of enemies. She's the only person, we'd go to confession on Saturday at the Catholic Church, and just walking home, she'd make me sin. We'd start fighting and, punching each other, and, that's the way it was, and then the things we put our brother through, our baby brother, we just loved to torture him. Mom and Dad weren't there, but, I'm going to miss her. She's my yin to my yang, we're Karen and Leslie, and she loved all the things. We all have the same sense of humor, and, I don't even know if I can even talk about some of them, how, inappropriate they are with that. People were asking what we were going to do with the ashes, and I said, well, there's a place where my mom and dad are buried in Wellston up north that our friend has offered one of their plots. And so we'll inter her there this summer with a party, of course, because she would have loved it. And then I said, well, maybe we'll just have some of them put into bullets and then we can shoot things up. She would love that too, So that was kind of her humor. So if you want to let her rip, that's what we want to do. We want to laugh today because we've been sad, So I don't know who wants to be next.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks again for coming. I've got a story about my sister. And my dad, if you guys didn't know my dad, he was a funny guy. He could have been on TV. And that's where we all got our sense of humor. But anyways, we used to have this little pet dog, just a mixed breed dog, and it was part of the family, like one of us. us kids. But anyways, my dad would joke, and he would say the dog, Rachel was her name, would come up to him, and he'd look at him and he'd say, "Daddy, why isn't Leslie like the rest of us kids?" Yeah, she'd get mad, but it was all But yeah, we had a lot of fun with Leslie. We loved her dearly. We've got the memories, nobody can take the memories from us. And just one more thing, everybody here, just take time to look around at the people in this room, the person sitting next to you, and just remember how life is so fragile. Remember your friends and your family, and love to all. Thanks a lot for coming, everybody. We love you. See you next time.
Tell them who you are.
Okay, so I am Allison, and I was my Aunt Leslie's niece, and I have a story about the bastardization of peeps. So when Mom bought us these packet of mini watermelon peeps, we were just sitting on the couch eating in front of my Aunt Leslie, and she's just like looking at us, and we're just like, "What?" And she's like, "Bastardized." And we're just like, I'm just like, "What?" And she's like, "They're not supposed to be there." I'm just like, "They're still good though." She's just like, "Bastardized." My sisters, they just take the box, they just take the bag and they start backing up, and she's like, "Don't eat the bastardized peeps." Only the yellow bunnies and the pink no, the pink bunnies and the yellow chicks. Those are the unbastardized ones. So I remember that for a long time, and when I went to get some peeps for something, I saw these birthday ones, so I got out my phone and took a picture and sent it to him. She was just like, "They bastardized them again." So I'm just like, I'm buying them.
You'll always remember that, huh?
Yeah, so, yeah, I ate them. I ate them. But we still just like look at the peeps in the store now, thinking bastardized, but we just still buy them and eat them up. So we're just like, yeah, we're gonna eat them.
Okay, so I'm Leslie's niece, Amy, and I have lots of stories about Aunt Leslie, but I really can't tell them because I don't want my mom to know. I'm sure you did. But she was my favorite aunt in the entire world. I mean, she was just fun, and she was a big kid, and she liked to play and have fun, and she made me love skincare. I mean, I really have Leslie to thank for my career because, she was always telling me about how important it was to take care of your skin, and I'm in the beauty industry now for 20 years, and that's really because of Aunt Leslie, and she was always telling me about taking care of my skin, and I take that every day, so she really is an amazing woman. And she made me love the Nutcracker when I was little. She used to play it for me all the time, and she got me a Nutcracker when I was little. I thought it was Clara. And she's just an amazing woman. She's going to be missed incredibly, and I have my wonderful cousin Evan to hang out with because of Aunt Leslie. So I'm his wartime consigliere, as he's nominated me. Yeah. But I think if she was here today, she would just get such a kick out of everybody here, being here and laughing, and that's why we wanted to have it be a roast, because I think it's a fitting way to have her life memorialized, and she would be so tickled to have everybody here, and we were just laughing with all the Facebook posts because, as you know, if you were Facebook friends of Leslie, she lived on Facebook. So thank you for your comments on that. So thank you for being here. She was an amazing woman. I'm glad that everybody was touched by her and knew her and could appreciate her humor.
Hi, I'm Wayne. I'm Leslie's nephew, and first nephew. I couldn't think of any one singular Leslie story. One of my earliest memories is going to her house back in the early ¡70s, and I had to go to sleep there or something, and so they put me in her bathtub with her pet rabbit.
Oh my goodness.
And then lit about 20 candles and put them around me. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Actually, it was the 60s, so there's the picture.
But anyways, you always knew you had some place to go whenever you came around Leslie's house. I always one of my first trips that I found myself was going to see Leslie, and I think I got lost in the middle of Detroit somewhere. And this doesn't really have to do with Leslie, but it was going to her house. So I pulled off to a quick stop, and I was going to make a phone call to her to find out where I was and how to get there. And car pulls up next to me, and two ladies look at me and say, "Are you our cousin Wayne?" And it was Kathy and Susie. And they were nice enough to show me to Leslie's house. But anyway, I'm going to be really missing her so much. Missing her arguments. Like being on Facebook all the time, no matter what you posted, she was always there. She always had questions like, what the hell is a Bitcoin? We still don't know what a Bitcoin is, but I'm pretty sure they don't have them wherever she's at now. Yeah, so anyway, Leslie embodied the Randall sense of humor, so please come on up and tell us your stories again.
And you don't have to go up to the microphone. If you just want to stand up too, it's fine.
I'm Wendy. I'm Leslie's niece-in-law, I guess. I don't know what you call me. You can really call me. So one of my favorite stories actually involves a couple of people's wedding. We had the twins in the back. I don't think Allie was with us at the time. And Leslie and I used Karen and Gary's car to go to Doug and Joanne's wedding. And we were going to the reception, and it's out of town. I don't know where it was from here, but so she gets basically a policeman is in back of us, and she's like, "Oh shit," and turns the light on, and so she's pulling over, and the twins are both in car seats, sleeping. They're infants, a few months old, and they're sleeping peacefully, and she goes, "Do you think we can pinch them?"
That's gone.
I said, I don't think that's a good idea.
That's grandma.
So they're sleeping quietly. The policeman comes up, and we're searching through the glove box, which everybody clean out their glove box and get rid of the old expired license things. So while we're doing that, the guy comes up, the policeman comes up, and she's like, "Hi," and he goes, "Do you know why you're getting pulled over?" She's like, "No." He's like, "You're going over the speed limit." She goes, "Officer, this is an area I'm not familiar with, and I just didn't know the speed limit." He goes, "Ma'am, there's these things, they're signs. They're pretty standard in every community." So I don't remember if we got a ticket, but we did. But it was one of the funnest memories that I can remember with having her, and just having her sense of humor. So thank you again, everyone, for coming.
Yeah. I was with
Leslie 2 weeks ago. We went to Florida together for 10 days. And so I was the lucky one who got her to myself for 10 days. Well, with Lynn, who's here, her cousin Lynn. We went down to Sebastian, Florida. And then we went to St. Augustine. Sorry, I'm not speaking loudly enough. We went to St. Augustine and Savannah. 10 days. We had a wonderful time. She introduced me to limoncello. And, you know, it's funny because I have been drinking limoncello since I got back from Florida. Every night or every other night, just a little. But Leslie introduced me to so many things. There's so many things in my life that were firsts with Leslie.
Oh my God, everybody's saying that's wonderful. That was when you were young, though.
It was when I was young. I was 11 or 12 when I met Leslie. Karen and Gary lived in the house behind my parents. They had bought their house from their parents. So, and Leslie would come around, and we had just moved to the U.S. We'd been back to Canada, back and forth, and so we started spending Thanksgivings up in Wellston, Michigan. With the Randalls became our American family, and Leslie became my older sister. She's 10 years older than me, and she was going to introduce me to living. So I think the first concert that I went to was with her. We went to see Elton John. And they, you know, he's up there singing Saturday, and we're up in the balcony, and the whole thing's going like this, and everybody's jumping up and down, and we can, you know, Leslie was freaking out. The whole thing's gonna fall. We're gonna fall. And then she took me to Greektown. First time in Greektown. This is when Greektown wasn't anything. There was no Opa at that time. Flaming cheese was not on the menu. But Leslie, being who she is and cool as she is, ordered flaming cheese. And they brought it out. And they went, oopa, and everybody else in the restaurant was looking at me. So it was a first for a whole pile of people, as well as me. But it wasn't even on the menu in the restaurant at the time. Leslie just knew the cool people who went there and ordered it. I think it was with Leslie that I realized I was allergic to pot. Still holds true to this day. And she introduced me to flavored coffee, cinnamon coffee from somewhere up north in Michigan. First time I ever had coffee that was flavored with anything was with Leslie. Fresh pineapple. I'd never had fresh pineapple cut, was with Leslie. I mean, there's all sorts of things in my mind, in my life, that I think of Leslie whenever I see her. It's a huge loss for me. The last 5 years after my divorce, Leslie was back in my life and really helped me through and kept me laughing through a number of things that were very hard for me to cope with, including my mom's death. When the greatest memory, really, my friend Sandy's here with me today. Sandy's kids and my kids were together in kindergarten in Toronto, and she moved to Troy. So I introduced her to Leslie a few times. Mm-hmm. So when I had driven through the night, my brother called, said, Mom's not going to make it through the night. I arrived, and I was sobbing, and my mom just, I'm not going to let my kids hurt like this, and started reviving a bit. And I called Sandy, and I called Leslie, and they both came. And then we had a girls' social. And my mom, as the energy, the laughs and the little jokes and the girly jokes, and just like Sandy and Leslie are both funny, and Mom's funny, and she lasted 2 more weeks. And I give Leslie a lot of credit for that. And that's why Sandy's here today, because she really, there was just that, yeah. So those are my stories about Leslie. She'll be truly missed. Thank you, Randall.
Did you see Tracy in the back at all?
Hi, I'm John. I'm Leslie's second cousin. She's cousins with my mom, Lynn.
If this was anybody else's funeral, the person I would want to talk to most, and the person I would probably be latching on to and hanging out with, would be Leslie. She was just so fun to talk to, and just such a wonderful person, and one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. And on Facebook, there's nobody I communicated with more than Leslie. She's just so wonderful. And about a month ago, before I tell that story, I was lucky enough to see Leslie fairly recently. She called me over to fix a toilet that wasn't broken. And I got to hang out there. I got to hang out with, Wendy was just leaving. Wendy and the girls were just leaving. It was, but it was nice to just be there with her, just to hang out with her. And we were just drinking coffee, and I would have spent another hour. I could have spent another hour or 3 there, just sitting there BSing with her, because she was so fun to be around. But she had a doctor's appointment, and I remember saying to her before I left, I was like, we definitely got to do this more often. Her and I agreed on just about every single issue there is. Her and I were just in lockstep with each other on everything. But about a month ago on Facebook, I posted this really neat YouTube video of how to make a swamp cooler, which is like a little air conditioner. And it was made out of a box, like a Coleman cooler, and you put ice in it and a fan, and it blows cold air out. They called it a swamp box in the video. And I'm only telling this story. People are going to find this inappropriate or comment pretty inappropriate. But I think she would want me to tell this. But so they were calling it a swamp box in the video, and she comments underneath it. The only comment on there, she said, I had swamp box once back in the 70s. And that's my story about Leslie. That totally sums her up.
That's funny. That's just funny.
That's a tough one to follow. I had to bring notes because I don't remember things. Leslie and I met when we both worked at Travelers Insurance back in the 60s, late 60s. And then we were roommates with Susan. I don't know if you all know Susan. Yeah. And we lost track of one another when people started getting married. And Karen, I think I lived in your house in Lincoln Park for a short time after I was kicked out of the house.
I know, we took everybody.
Yeah, but you weren't in the house at that time. It was vacant. You were in the process of selling it. Yeah. And I was there for about a month or 2, I think. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so I'm going to read now. Okay, as I said, I met Leslie when we both worked for Travelers. And probably the best days of my life, though I wasn't aware of it then. Leslie, along with Sue Bell and me, rented a house together on the west side of Detroit from late 71 to early 72. And the laughter and tears were never ending, mostly laughter thanks to Leslie. Remembering some of her antics brings me joy. I'll just share this one. I had a parakeet named Buddy. One morning I got up and Buddy was laying down on the bottom of the cage. I knew he wasn't asleep, but I didn't want to believe it. Sadly, I went off to work. When I got back to the house, I went into the kitchen where Buddy's cage was, and Leslie had draped a black cloth over the cage with a sign that read, R.I.P. Buddy. I had taken my beloved bird and wrapped him in a tissue and put him in a Q-tip box. That was his coffin. The Q-tip box was on top of the tissue box in my bedroom, and I was planning on digging a hole in the yard to bury him. Of course, it was the dead of winter. Leslie came into the room for a tissue, And she swiftly pulled a tissue from the box and Buddy went flying. And I screamed, Buddy! We laughed about it. And in her defense, she didn't know Buddy was in the Q-tip box. The three of our boyfriends and us would get together and smoke a little grass and get the munchies, and it was the 70s. Our go-to snack was chicken and a biscuit crackers. Remember those? Yeah. We'd polish off the whole box, and no matter what anybody said, it was hilarious. Leslie didn't disappoint. Her sense of humor was priceless, and Cheech and Chong, oh my goodness. We would listen to their albums with tears running down our cheeks. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, was it? She loved that. Another Cheech and Chong character was Leslie Horwinkle. That's what I always called her, Leslie Horwinkle. When the three of us went our separate ways, I sadly lost contact with Leslie for a very long time, about 40 years in fact. Though we had reconnected through social media in February of 2011, it was only a few weeks ago that we finally reconnected in person, and it was as if no time had passed. I was so excited to have her back in my life once again. I was so excited for us, Sue's sister Toby too. Made plans to connect on a regular basis. We were going to go for Indian food this month, but God had another plan. R.I.P. Leslie, I love you.
Aww.
Here. Oh, video. Oh, she's gone.
Hi, my name is Jessie, and I recently came up here to Michigan a few years ago, my husband and I got to meet Karen and Gary. They were the first people I met here, and I instantly grew real close to them. And I met Leslie maybe 2 years ago, and I really liked Leslie and Karen because I am from a family of 6 girls, so I know the dynamics of sisters. 1 minute you're good, the next minute it's bad. You know, so when I first met Leslie, she was up here for a weekend of something, and she needed a ride back to Grand Rapids to the airport. I said, well, I'll take her. You know, I don't know her, but what the hell, I'll take her. By the time we left Irons and got to the airport, we missed our turn, missed it because we kept talking and laughing and got lost, and she was late, and I said, well, this is how it was. From then on, we clicked, and she was just a wonderful woman, and to lose a sibling is heart-wrenching, and I'm so sorry for everyone in the family, but she was a wonderful woman, and the few times I spent with her, it was like being with a sister, and I will truly miss her. And it's just all I have to say. She was a wonderful woman.
Hi, I'm Leslie's cousin Lisa. Actually, Leslie and my mom were first cousins. But when you're in an Italian family, you're just a cousin. There's no separation or anything like that. So I'm a few years younger and was having the issues with acne and everything when I was about 12, 13 years old. So my mom was like, oh, well, you know, my cousin works for a dermatologist, you'll go there. So my mom takes me, and then Leslie says, well, I'll drive her home. You make the last appointment of the day, and then I drive her home. Perfect. So I remember the first time that this happens, of course, we click right away. And I had only known her as, you know, my mom's cousin, this older, very stylish, very hip person that loved to talk, had this awesome smile and this awesome laugh. Then I, you know, look behind in the seat, and I'm like, oh my God, you carry a medical bag with you? And she's like, no, that's my phone. I have a car phone. And it was one of these, you remember the big first phones? Big honking bag phones that looked like a medical bag. She was the coolest because she had a car phone. So, my other real quick little story is, fast forward to now, I am in my early 20s, seeing Leslie still periodically, and she says, hey, a couple of my friends and I were going to go to the bar tonight. You want to go with us? Yeah, sure. I'll go. I'll meet you there. So we go to this bar. I have no idea, no remembrance of where it was. And they're having a tight jeans contest. Okay? So her couple friends are not a couple friends. They're 30 at wherever bar we were at. So she's like, Lisa, you go. We're putting you in for the tight jeans contest. Okay? I had baggy jeans on. It was the style then. Pleated baggy jeans with the tight bottoms. Thanks to Leslie and her friends, I won the tight jeans contest. And so we all had a nice drink then.
I'm going to get through this without crying, I hope. I've known Leslie forever. I'm Toby Bell. I'm sure everybody thinks Leslie was their best friend, and she probably was. And in my world, Leslie was my sister's best friend. I don't ever remember my sister without Leslie. All my memories of my sister are almost all revolved around Leslie. My first memory of Leslie was, I think I was maybe 10. And I thought my sister and Leslie both were the coolest. They were teenagers. Susan had a pajama party, the first one ever in our house, and probably the last one. And the whole house reeked of cigarette smoke. Nobody smoked except all the girls upstairs. All of our little easy bake oven things were burnt with ashtrays. I had to sleep on the couch. They all tiptoed out. Nobody knew this, and they all came in wasted. Nobody knew that. I just told this to my mother recently, and she said, oh, that would have never happened in my house. I'm sure I would have heard that. But so that was my first memory of Leslie, and it only got from there. Leslie probably taught me not just how to drink and how to smoke, those kinds of things, but she taught me a lot of really important things too. And one of them, the most important one, was that no matter who I was, where I was in life, she loved me, she loved my family, and she loved my sister and all of her family. My sister was dying of cancer, and Leslie was always there, on the phone, pulling out tweezers under the little whiskers that were growing under her chin, just things, little intimate things that none of us, that we kind of overlooked and ignored. Leslie had no problem saying, hey, let's rip that gray hair out of your chin. You need your roots touched up, you need your eyebrows plucked, and let's do a facial. Those were great memories. I kind of got too far forward, because I do want to tell this one funny story also with Leslie. I seemed to always was the one that was kind of in trouble a lot, all through my life, not only when I was little, but all through my life. And Leslie was in a lot of rescuing situations with me. But she was also in a big rescuing situation with my kids. My oldest boy went to a concert, and everybody had to go to the bathroom, and he got caught going to the bathroom in public, urinating in public. Got a fine for urinating in public, and he is a wonderful school teacher now. And his career could have been really messed up at that point. So of course we call Leslie, and she's working for Dr. Scharf at the time.
And it's no problem. She says, don't worry about it. I'll send you a medical note that he can take down to the that states that Jeremiah has a chronic bladder condition. The name of it was huge. But the funniest thing was, it's delivered to him, and she mails it, and it comes to Pee-Pee Boy, Jeremiah Lockwood, and the address and everything like that. So I put it out, and I made a copy of it. Instead of just his name on there with the whole condition, it was made out to Pee-Pee Boy. And we thought he was going to have to take that down to the DMV. So she was always rescuing us from many, many things. And only her. She would. I'm just like, thank God she did that, because my kid would probably be teaching today. But I think that back to now the sentimentality part of it is, yeah, Leslie was cool. She was the coolest. She was my hippie friend. She was my good friend. She was my family's friend. She was my sister's friend. She was a friend to my kids, to my sister's kids. She taught me so much in life. But here recently, what she really taught me was, don't let so much time go by, because boy, life goes by really, really, really fast. I've learned that lesson very personally here lately, and I thought I had learned it, and I was the other one that just had lunch with Leslie after many years, not 40, but a long time. And I never expected that to be my last time with her. I just knew there would be another time. So, one more lesson. Leslie thinks I didn't want this one. I didn't need this one. But yeah, I'll never forget her. Ever, ever.
We talked an awful lot. We were in the car a lot.
And
I've heard that story
The Pee-Pee
about
Boy?
the two of you getting together, and we talked about Susan for hours. And she said, you know, Susan was so afraid because she wasn't a Christian that she wasn't going to get into heaven. But I know she's there with her now.
You know what? She is.
Yeah,
She most
but
definitely
she talked
is.
so much about that lunch. She was so happy.
If anybody could get into heaven, even if they didn't do the right things, she's going to tell God that she is going to get into heaven. And there is no way God is going to change his mind. She will talk her way into heaven. If anybody could do it, she could. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dina. If she can make it through. It's Dina.
It's just amazing to me. I'm Dina, and my mom and Leslie were friends forever. And I remember Leslie from, she always was there.
Miss Leslie.
Miss Leslie, yes. I remember that was her name that we called her, and we would go to school and we'd say, our Miss Leslie's picking us up. They're like, you're Miss Leslie? We're like, yeah, that's our Miss Leslie. And you know, just listening to everybody, it's amazing to me that she had the gift of making each and every one here feel so important to her. Right. I mean, I listen to this and I think, wow, if I could just touch 5 people like that, but she had the gift of touching people in that way. My strongest memories of Leslie were my best friends here, Jolie, and much like Amy, there's a million stories that I can't share because we've been sworn to secrecy. I did just find out, though, that Amy had been using my fake ID all through college. Was not aware that it was passed down. I'm not sure if she stole it from me or what.
They look alike.
Her husband knew me as the college ID fake ID person. So, but one thing that I always, I want to share this for Evan is that the summer of I think it was my junior year of high school, I babysat Evan, and I watched him every day, and my friends came over, and we took really good care of him, though, just so you know that. I mean, we're not responsible for anything. And so she would call literally like every 20 minutes, how's my little boy? How's my little boy? And I remember he was probably about 9 months, and he was still not sleeping through the night. And so I spent the night over there, and she was like, okay, I mean, I can't work. She wasn't getting any sleep. So I was credited with helping her get Evan to sleep through the night. And probably last year sometimes she mentioned it, but I remember he was crying, and I was sitting there, and I literally was holding her. I'm like, you can do this. You can do this. You don't have to, you can let him sleep through the night. But she didn't want to let him down, and she just wanted to be there for him. And she just loved him so much, and she was so proud of him and all his accomplishments. And I know he knows that, but I want him to know that it was from the very start. And she just truly loved him, and she would have done anything for him, and she did. And I'll never forget her. I mean, she was such a big part of my life, and like everybody here, I mean, she just amazing how much. I mean, there are things that happen all the time that I think of her, and I will miss her forever. And I will laugh forever because of her too, because she makes me smile when I think of her.
Hi, my name is Ryan Lewandowski. My mom and Leslie have been friends, seems like almost her whole life, at least my entire life. She's always been the cool Aunt Leslie. I mean, no one can disagree with that. She was awesome. We could talk to her about anything. And I have a story that I've never told anyone ever. Ever. My mom's not here. I've never told my mom. Aunt Leslie doesn't even know. When I was a young teenager, Aunt Leslie would give us money to, like, oh, here's $10, go clean the house, go clean out the car, just whatnot. So I was, she gave me some money to, clean out her car or whatnot. So I was doing a pretty thorough job, and I was digging around in the cracks. What is this? The first joint I have ever smoked in my life. I found in Aunt Leslie's car. I always wanted to say something. I had never got a chance to tell her. Thank you. Thank you. So that cemented her as being the coolest aunt ever. No question. Best, coolest aunt ever. And I have another story that I wanted to share. I think Aunt Leslie wanted me to share this. This just happened about 3-4 hours ago. I'm getting ready to come here. I was just getting dressed, getting a snack, ready to walk out the door. And in my house, I have a wall of cards, just all the birthday cards, greeting cards. I got kids or from everybody, all aunts, uncles, grandparents. I got like 1,000 ones from. You can ask Angeline. Angeline, do I have a wall of cards? There's hundreds of them on there. And I'm getting ready to go, and I have a 1-year-old son, and he's getting around. He's never messed with any of the cards ever. He's never touched anything. He's got enough toys and stuff to play with. As I'm getting ready to go, he goes over and he rips off one of the cards off the wall. And I wanted to just read that card for you. Angeline, Lindsay, and Laura, wishing you all the very best at Christmas and all year. Love, Aunt Leslie.
No way.
I don't know what your beliefs are. I know Aunt Leslie knows that I shared beliefs of an open-mindedness to the mysteries of the unknown, and you might say that was a coincidence. I believe that Aunt Leslie wanted me to share this. And I just want to say I love you too, Aunt Leslie, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing okay. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan, Leslie's cousin, and she lately told me I was her best friend. Which, wasn't she everybody's best friend? And your kids and their kids and their kids, and everybody loved Leslie. Leslie and I do a lot of things together, and a lot of things I can't say out loud, and because I promised to secrecy. But there's one story when we were shopping this one time, and we were always shopping, okay? We were at TJ Maxx, and she finds this pot, and she might have told some of you people the story. She finds a pot, and of course it doesn't have a price tag on it, right? Okay, so I knew the brand of this cookware, and it was La Cruette, right? Which I knew immediately, it's very expensive, Leslie, whatever it is, okay? Anyway, so she had to get a salesperson. The salesperson came up and took it in the back room and looked it up and brought it out to Leslie. And Leslie looked at the price and she goes, really loud, like everybody at TJ Maxx could hear this. $199.99. I mean, she was so obnoxious about it. I actually gave it to her for $19.99. It was like ridiculous. But Leslie will be in my heart forever and always, and the void in my life is going to be tremendous. You know, we talked on the phone 3-4 times a day, every day, and just really close. Leslie actually took me out to Leisure Lake when I was in a deep, dark area in my life. And I credit her for maybe saving my life, because I wouldn't go out, I wouldn't do anything. She actually drugged me there by the hair. And I went there, and I never left. I said, why didn't anybody ever tell me heaven was in Leisure Lake, Ontario, Canada? You know, it was like, and we have so many fun stories out there, and everybody in the park sends their condolences that couldn't be here today. And she touched everyone's life and made everybody's got a story, okay? And we love her. I love her. I'm gonna miss her.
No, I think I'm good. We met Leslie at Leisure Lake. She was like an aunt to my children. But we did so much together. I've been up north and met all the family. We were there when Evan went away to war, when she was having a hard time with that. But we were there for so many good times. There was one, she would come to Leisure Lake on a Friday. This time, she was still working at the time. And this one Friday she came and she come around, I think it was either at Christine's trailer or at our trailer. And she proceeds to tell us that she had to call the police. She had an emergency during the week, and we're all like, are you okay? What happened? She goes, yes. She goes, a damn bat flew down my chimney, and I didn't know who to call, so I called 911, and they came and took the bat out of my house. Only Miss Leslie, or Miss Daisy, as we used to call her on the golf cart, would call 911 to have a bird or bat removed from her house. And they did it, because they knew better. They did it. And then there was another story that we actually my husband and I were gone away on vacation, and friends of ours were staying with our children at Leisure Lake. And my oldest daughter had left the gas stove on, not lit, like a little bit. So actually two of our children ended up very ill from carbon monoxide. And Leslie said, they can come and stay at my trailer until you guys get back. So they went to stay with Leslie, and Leslie had to leave on the Sunday because she was going to work on the Monday, and she called me on the Sunday night in a panic. She's like, the girls are still at the trailer, and our oldest daughter was 20 at the time, and I said yes. She goes, can you call and make sure they don't eat my cookies? And I'm like, Leslie, it's not a bit, I will replace your cookies if they eat your cookies, I promise. No, Jackie, you cannot replace these cookies, and you don't want your children eating these cookies. So, needless to say, they were Aunt Leslie's special cookies, and our children knew never to eat cookies at Aunt Leslie's trailer. Yeah, so she was a great friend of ours. We're gonna miss her. She hasn't been at the lake for I think 3 years now. But she's still I used to come visit her. We'd go shopping, you know. We were still such a big part of each other's lives, even though she had to leave the lake. We're all gonna miss her, and we wish the family the best.
I'm Becky, Christine's daughter. My mom and her husband Carl come visit Leslie all the time. I remember when I was younger, a little bit younger, my mom, her trailer, she had my brother and sister over and stuff. So Leslie's like, oh, send Becky to mine. It's okay. So I'm there. So we go up to the lake, we go up to the dance, we have a few beverages, right? Go back to her place, tired, sleeping. Leslie goes to bed. I'm on the futon there. She comes out, hey kid, wake up, wake up. You stole my glasses. Why would I steal your glasses in the middle of the night, Leslie? Here they are. There you go. That's like my fondest moment of her. Just funny. Wake up, kid.